What's up, guys? It's your boy Dorian here, and I'm with Dennis, and we have two special guests with us. We have Chia with Big Box VR, as well as Gabe Brown. How are you guys doing today?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to be here.
Well, we want to say thank you guys for sitting down with us. Absolutely loving the game. We just got done playing a session with Storm, and we didn't do too well, but had a blast doing it as always. But so, firstly, I just want to ask you guys, both of you, can you just give me a little bit of your origin story and how you got to where you're at now? Chia, you can go first.
Yeah, so um, Gabe and I have actually been working on games for a long time, and we used to work together at Disney actually on a
Nice.
game called Marvel Avengers Alliance. It was a Marvel game on Facebook, and before that, I worked at Valve and Sony and other places. But one of the coolest things was when Gabe said to me one day, he's like, "Hey, come on over and check out VR." And then, I checked it out. I was actually like, yeah, I think Gabe, what was it? Was it DK1 or something like that? Or
Yeah, I put him in a Five Nights at Freddy's DK1 game.
Oh, oh
And
no.
I was like, it was a clone of Five Nights at Freddy's, and there's a huge jump scare, and he's like, eh.
but then what happened was after that, my ex-colleagues from Valve said to me, "Hey, come check out this thing we're making," and it was basically the Vive, right? So I went into this room and it was like, put on this thing, and a whale came towards me, and I thought there was a whale. So I was like, "Holy crap! This is the coolest thing ever!" Just imagine making games in here that make you feel like you're there. And so after that, Gabe and I talked more, and then we just decided to build a company around multiplayer VR, connecting people in VR.
Nice, nice. And Gabe, what about you?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the origin story. My friend had a DK1 and got an opportunity to try that out, and it was actually kind of a cool experience. We started off playing with Minecraft using the mod on the DK1. It's like kind of nauseating, but you could fast forward a couple of years and kind of see roughly where it was going. And again, when we got that HTC Vive demo, it just my brain exploded. I was just like, okay, we got to do something with this. Like the technology is finally good enough where this could actually happen. And that's where it's like, I tend to be an optimist, like technical futurist optimist kind of dude. I'm just like, oh, this looks like it's got promise. It's got a lot of warts. It's got a lot of issues, but that was something we're like, oh, this is good. We need to make something with this. And that's kind of how Smashbox came to be. It was like our very first game was like, it was about understanding, let's make a really fun game and ship a product and just understand what can we learn from that, because we're not going to learn anything unless we ship a product that get into players' hands and start that loop of iterating with players and helping them understand stuff. And so Population One is what you guys got to play. It's actually a culmination of like many years of just building VR only games, VR only multiplayer games, and taking all those learnings that we've applied and put it into that product. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and that was kind of going to be my next question, just asking what you guys learned from your previous game with Smashbox and that you applied to this one and that you built it off of.
A few things actually. Number one is that the first product we went, you know what, we're going to make it as comfortable as possible. Not that we didn't make Population One comfortable, but we were so scared of sickness. We're like, you know what, we're going to make you teleport. We're going to make sure that everything was oriented towards comfort in VR and moving in space. So we created this mechanic that's like, if you haven't tried it, you shoot something and you teleport there. But then as we basically learned that, and one of the things that Gabe and I talked about too, is that, when in the early days of PC games, when people used to play, Doom and Quake and eventually, just all the way up to the FPS chain. People basically got really sick in the beginning watching when mouse look was introduced. People got really sick too, right? So we had this thing where we were trying to go for extreme comfort while a lot of people started doing the, you're moving in VR with the joystick thing. And first we were like, this doesn't seem right. But then we were like, wait a minute, there's something here, because it harkened back to that moment where I used to work in a computer lab in college. I would shut it down at night and play Marathon from Bungie, and like until we all got really sick from playing it. But so we really wanted to focus on something, a really cool experience that pushed the edge of VR, that would push that edge to where, it takes a little while to get used to, but when you got used to it, you're like, holy crap, this is the future of games.
Yeah, that's speaking on comfort. That's the kind of the biggest thing, because I was very interested in this game, owning a Quest and loving VR, and I was like, oh, the only thing is I'm worried because I get motion sickness pretty easy in VR, especially with any type of locomotion stuff, where you're using the joystick to move. And then once I started playing this, I was like, what? And I talked about this in our first impression videos. Like, what kind of like magic voodoo did you guys do to this game that makes it that I can fly, climb, run, and I don't feel sick at all? We just played that whole session, me and Dorian, for like a good 45 minutes and didn't feel sick once, you know?
Yeah.
So what's the, without revealing the total secret, but like, what was the idea or process behind developing that type of comfort in a game that needs to be moved around so much?
Yeah, so we actually, as part of like that mental shift from moving from teleportation to smooth locomotion and moving around the world, we really wanted to understand deeply is like what actually causes people to get sick or motion or discomfort inside VR. And so that really, we had to dive into like, what are the medical reasons why that's happening? And so in order to understand that, we need to go talk to experts who've been spending many years doing this. So I worked with a professor out of the UK who studies pilots and how they react to motion simulators when they're flying aircraft. So they simulate flying fighter jets in a simulator. And what they do is they try and measure what is causing motion sickness to these pilots in these simulators. And you can think about it, VR is kind of the same way. And so we went and understood this as like the most common issue is like there's a disconnect between your inner ear and what your eyes are seeing. And so at a fundamental level, what we're actually doing is tricking your eyes into thinking you're not moving. And so it matches what your inner ear is saying as you're not moving. So the scientific levels, we're trying to overcome this reflex that your body's evolved over millions of years to say, if what I see is not changing, is not matching what's in my ear, I must be poisoned and I need to throw up. And so that's your body's natural reaction. So working with this professor, we've developed what's called the vertical combat system. And so there's a couple tricks that you can probably have already noticed is obviously the vignette. So we're reducing the visuals flow that you see in your periphery. So you can see as stuff is going by your eyes, it reduces that flow. So it reduces your perception of motion. The big one that most people don't think about is when you're flying and you're banking left and right. Normally, if you're an airplane, you'd actually be turning, but in VR, you just strafe. And so that's like infinitely more comfortable. We put in a first version, Chachin and I immediately ripped the headset off. We're like, I can't do that. But so what we've done is also match these up. So even climbing is actually super comfortable because your inner ear is moving because you tend to move your head while you're climbing. And so there's all these tips and tricks that we've done that's culminated into and we've done roughly 200 to 300 people came into our office and we put them through and did the same surveys that you do at the Air Force if you're doing a simulator. And we're able to get it down. So on like a 10-point scale, we were seeing people increase like 3 or 4 points. And now they're like less than 1. So so over time, we perfected that as much as possible to make sure that everyone is comfortable in VR. So it was a lot of work. But overall, I think I'm glad that you guys are able to play and have a really comfortable experience, because for us, like nothing's more satisfying than getting people who've never tried before, getting into VR, having a great time and coming out feeling great too.
Yeah, I played Phasmophobia in VR, and after 30 minutes, I ended up throwing up. Here we are. I was playing like 2 hours worth of this game, no issues whatsoever. So I thought,
awesome.
I thought it was just it's crazy. And one of the things you kind of touched on, and one of the things that really like I love about this game is the climbing feature. So when did y'all decide to incorporate that and use that as kind of like one of the biggest assets to this game?
I think one of the first things we did was, when we built this world and we put people in it, and immediately noticed like our own instincts, like you want to just go everywhere, right? Like you don't want to be confined. You want to be like, you see a mountain there? Well, let's climb up there. Hey, you see that thing down there? Let's jump off and fly down there. And so the first thing we did was, we developed this thing where when you climb, and we actually had to study like how comfortable you can climb, because we can also make it super, super physics-based where your hand has smushed against and all this stuff. But we kind of cheated and said your hands can go in and you just grab it, and you can still see your hand outline, but it's now in the wall. But that actually gives you a sense of like a lot of freedom, actually. Mm-hmm. You can just like grab anything very easily. And then once we did that, immediately we were like, I've climbed up here. Now, how do I get down? Well, you just kind of want to glide down. So it kind of naturally evolved, actually.
Yeah, I think our earliest prototypes in 2017, like 3 years ago, had climbing as like a core mechanic, and it wasn't until like a year and a half ago we added flying in, because Cha-Chen was on top of the turbines and he's like, I want to get down really fast, but I don't want to jump and fall to my death.
Which adds a great component of movement from one place to another, and also in combat. I mean, the people that are way better than me that I watch online, like they can climb and then glide like almost like it's like second nature.
Yeah, it's super seamless. And you watch people go up to walls and they like grab themselves, look up, shoot, and then they fling themselves up a little bit, they fly down, grab onto stuff, climb up. They're like sequencing all these movements together, and it's super fun to watch. And people develop different techniques, and it's like really personalized, actually.
Yeah, I was watching Storm, or we were doing a session with Storm, and I was almost getting killed just watching her play, because I was like, how's she doing that? Like how she did the little duck and shoot thing. I was like, wow, I wouldn't have even thought. Like, she gave us so many tips. I was like, wow, this is next level. And another thing, when you ultimately do die and when your squad gets eliminated, this is by far the coolest thing, any spectator mode I've ever seen. The whole mode where you're standing and watching the whole field and getting to see everybody play. How did y'all come up with that idea, and what made you decide to like include that in this game?
Yeah, I think it was really something that we added to Smashbox Arena. One of our first games was when your team, or when you're eliminated from the game, you actually go into spectator mode. And something that we really enjoyed about that mode the most was it's kind of a social moment for you and the other eliminated players. You're just sitting there chatting, you're just like watching and seeing what's unfolding. And the fun part is when someone gets eliminated in the match and you pop into spectator mode, you hear all the other players going, oh shit, did you see that? And so as part of the spectator mode for Pop 1, like during our testing, we wanted to keep that element of like, even though you've been eliminated, there's still something to do, because it's VR is kind of a captive experience. You're not like checking your phone or doing whatever, you're in there. And so we wanted to have something for you to do after being eliminated, so you can still have fun. You can chat with the other eliminated players. You can talk to your squad mates about like, how did that happen? You can zoom over to the players that shot you and go check it out. So it's this cool social moment for you to watch and see what's happening after the match. And to enjoy it from a different perspective. So it's a key takeaway that we enjoyed about it, because it's such a social moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So with that, do you guys plan on, I know you guys are trying to do more and more esports and trying to build the VR part of it. So do you guys plan on using the spectating mode as kind of like your way to try to push the esports VR thing further along and try to make it bigger using that type of technology?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we developed the game in mind where we're creating all this infrastructure in place so that, obviously the product has to be awesome. So without an awesome product, there's no esport. And then comes the community, right? So product, community, and then afterwards, then you get a chance to be competitive in an esport setting. So, but that said, a lot of games don't think about what it would be like at the end stage. So for us, the coolest thing was like we launched it and people start streaming it, and the game is just watchable. Like you watch it and you're like, exactly what's going on, what they're going through, and you're like, oh my God, like all these cool moments. So we designed the game from the ground up to be a great spectator sport almost. That said, the esport thing, we need the community to form and to stick and be awesome. And then we'll definitely be tackling the esport thing, but that's next step.
Yeah,
later down the line. This is a two-part question. How long has this game been in development? And secondly, did you guys work along with Oculus in terms of like, you guys launched a week after Oculus 2, so VR launched last year and the Quest was a big success, and the Quest 2 was like, okay, here's the next level. Did you guys work with them in order to launch, or was it just happenstance that you guys were going to release around the same time?
Yeah, so we were originally going to be launching on PC VR only, and I think it was Gabe. When was it? Was like 2018.
2018. Right? Yeah, it's like 2018 January-ish.
Like something there. So we were actually going to come out in 2019, like early-ish, to come out with like a PC only version. But then what happened was, and this is before the Quest 1 even.
Mhm.
So, and then Oculus saw the game and, they were like, hey, we're big fans of this. Is there any way you can bring it to the Quest platforms? And so at first we were like, I don't know, we really want to launch this game now. But then we tried on the Quest and we really understood what they were trying to do, which is this tetherless, affordable device that anyone can play. But then after we said, let's do it, we went on this 2-year journey, basically to cram a PC game onto a mobile device. We basically rebuilt the whole game from ground up. We remade every single art asset, we rebuilt the entire engine, and we went on this journey. And just in time for the Quest 2 launch. So
yeah, it's a perfect fit. It's much like it's like Beat Saber. Beat Saber and Quest go hand in hand, and I think Population 1 and Quest go hand in hand. I mean, obviously you can play on other platforms, but being that freedom just works with this game so well.
Yeah, and they're really great partners, and we work with them closely to understand where VR is going in the market, and we're a game on their Quest 2 box, right? So we are a launch product. So we do collaborate on the marketing end as well.
So how did you go about, so like you said, you had to rebuild and break down everything and rebuild it. So how did you go about making sure that just it was cross-platform playable? Like, so if you do have those PC players that still want to jump on and you have the Quest players and everything. So how did you go about were there any challenges making sure it was compatible across all systems?
Yeah, it's just checkbox. So just kidding. No,
like compatibility.
No, we made several pretty huge changes. So we knew that optimizing for the Quest platform and for mobile platform, we knew if we could get it working really well there, that we could get it running great on a PC. And then obviously we have a lot more headroom with like the 500 watts of computing power that most people have. Versus like the 10 watts that we have on a mobile device. So it's kind of like a big disparity of computing power. But our biggest challenge is just really optimizing for that mobile chipset. We have typically with desktops, you have like 6 to 4 to 12 cores on there. You got like a couple gigs of RAM. You got a beast of a dedicated graphics card. And so we did a lot of work to optimize for mobile. But the key was making sure that we cross-played during our development. We had people playing on the PC, on the Steam, on the desktop Rift. And so we just had a continual development process focused on shipping regular play tests to our early beta testers to make sure that cross-play was working. Every week we'd have a new build, rinse, wash, and repeat. So a part of that process was bringing every platform into our play tests. Every week we have our scheduled play test where people would play for like 2 to 3 hours. And making sure that every platform was having a great experience as much as possible, while also making sure that we have performance-minded things happening on the Quest as well for Quest 1 and Quest 2. So making sure that they're also having a great experience too. So lots of testing.
And I want to say thank you guys for because some VR games were like on the Oculus, like if you buy it for the Rift version, you have to re-buy it again for the Quest version. Thankfully with this one, I was able to, I bought it on the Quest, like with the link cable hooked in so I could record stuff, but like took out the link cable, ran it as a regular Quest, just had to get it for free. So I want to say thank you guys for that, because I have had to buy some other games in the past, like multiple times, because they don't like have them on the Quest version or the Rift version. So that's just I really appreciate that. So we only have a little bit more time with you guys. So I do want to just talk about the future of the game. And I noticed that you guys just dropped recently just an update, a Halloween, I saw some pumpkins scattered around, saw a little new area in it. So can you just give us a little tease of what you guys have upcoming for like the stages and everything like that, and challenges? I heard there was something in the works for that.
Yeah, so one of the most important parts of our game is that it's going to be a living, breathing world, right? And so you don't just buy one game and then you just play that thing the whole time. We're going to keep coming up with new weapons and new modes and new events and stuff to drive people in. Because the truth is, like, as a player, when I go into things, I want to see things change. I want something fresh. And so for us, it's a big challenge because this really hasn't been done that much in VR. People aren't really pushing that boundaries. But for us, we want a regular cadence of just new events, new modes, new things coming out, and just to keep people really coming back and excited.
a little secret tip for players, if you haven't tried before, if you're hanging out in the lobby and you like someone and you want to match up with them in the next match, if they're not in your squad, you can fist bump and hold it for 5 seconds and you'll become insta friends. So when you leave that server, you guys can squad up for the next match.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, before we leave, is there any other tips that you can give us, like any other professional tips? Like these are from you two guys. Like any other tips that we can get, exclusive tips that can help us?
Yeah, for sure. I think most people don't think vertically. When they're new players, they're used to playing on most games, and they're usually playing the ground game. So the best thing you can do is getting height is the key to winning an advantage. So some of the tips that we've seen used in our own playtest is to build a sky bridge right in the spot. So build up 10 tiles and then build out and make yourself a platform to get the height advantage in those final zones, so that you can use that as a way to get the height advantage so you can see what's happening. You're more likely to get a headshot in that position.
Ooh. Okay, so Dennis, we might have to cut this out of the video. I can't let other people know about these strategies now, man. Like, I got to keep this for myself at this point. All right, guys. So guys, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Before we do wrap, is there anything else you want to let the Collider fans know about the game? Anything you want to tease before we do close out?
No, thank you guys for trying the game, and it's just been an honor to present this to everyone. If you haven't tried VR yet, this is a great chance. Great hardware, try our game, and come play with us.
Absolutely. So thank you guys again. Make sure to go pick up Population 1 on the Oculus store now. It's a blast. You can catch me and Dennis's gameplay all over the channel. We'll do some more streams upcoming. We're going to try to get better because, I will become a Population 1 pro eventually. I know I'm trash right now, guys. I'm sorry, but we'll get there. So thank you guys so much. You have a great day. Make sure to like, subscribe. Make sure look the rest of our channel. Make sure to follow us on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast. We'll have more content for you soon here on the Collider Games channel. Peace.